Welcome to the 8 o'clock spot, y'all. I am your host slash judge slash moderator, Bryson Carver. To be completely honest with you, I don't know how one of the individuals on the show does this, but I can't see anything through these, to be totally honest with you. But, I'm going to have to eat some crows, a Warriors fan. I might as well see who's going to be on. So the first individual, and I will just give him 30 seconds of free reign to say whatever the heck he wants to say, is a Lakers fan who hates the Warriors to his core, and the host of the All Even podcast, the points leader on the 8 o'clock spot. His name is Barry Grant Jr., and Barry, I assume you're doing better than me today.
You know, the fact that I only get 30 seconds and I am the creator of the show, that is blasphemous. I believe that I should get as long as I want to go on this rant because you, sir, did something that was so egregious that you would actually create a segment that was strictly homerish. Oh, I'm a Warriors fan, and Warriors got the easiest road to the finals and conference finals, and the Lakers ain't got a shot. Well, guess what? Your ass is home. Your ass is home looking at the Lakers in the first round, and they possibly may have a chance to beat those Nuggets. I'm telling you right now. And you, sir, have to eat crow and watch that. So even if they do lose, the fact that you have to, in the next 2 weeks, break down Lakers versus Nuggets, it's the greatest thing for me.
I can't wait.
For me, it's great. It's great.
It's been over 30 seconds. No, I can't wait. Listen, we know what Jokic is going to give today. We're going to do the segment on that, in our B block. But
one more thing I'd just like to say real quick.
Yeah.
My Mets have won 10 out of 13. So anybody that said that they were dead in the water, you guys don't watch baseball and don't know shit.
Yeah, my team sucks. Anyways, moving to our second contributor on the 8 o'clock spot, and apparent Julius Randle fan, Keith Nandin, big Knicks fan, big Julius Randle guy. Keith, how you doing tonight, my man? I think your mic's muted, Keith.
Yes,
we got you.
I am a Julius Randle supporter. Yes, I will defend him against all of these bullets, and because they just want to nuke this guy and throw him in the trash, and I'm not with that.
Okay, well, listen, we'll talk about the Knicks, I'm sure, throughout the playoffs on this show. But they're playing great basketball right now. We'll see. They'll actually know their playoff opponent tonight after the Heat and Sixers game. We got another Knicks fan and a brand new member to the 8 o'clock spot. Erik Ruiz is on the 8 o'clock spot. Erik, how you doing tonight, my man?
Doing all right. Doing great with these colors, as you see. As Barry mentioned, the Mets as well. So blue and orange is a beautiful color.
Right now in the month of April, there's no question about that. It is. One thing I will say is, as bad as today has been, I can tell you, I if nothing else, I've had a better day than this individual right here. I just want to throw that out there and just say that it could be worse. It could be worse to be John Tate.
He's a clown. He's the biggest dummy in sport. Biggest dummy. I want to use another word, but I'm gonna save that until my R-rated show on Friday.
Yeah,
we gotta keep this PG for the children.
For sure. Let's look at our leaderboard for the 8 o'clock spot. Erik will be joining this in short order. Barry Grant Jr., what you see right there at the top, the points leader, followed by Mike Guido, Alfred Parsard Jr., John Rivero, who won last week, Dalton Brown, Devin Nettles, Adam Bessie, Tim Barnard, Dylan Lima, EJ Savage, Ryan Flowers, Anthony Bessie, Alex Johnson. There's Keith Nandin and Eric Van Letten. Let's move into our first round rules real quick, and hopefully we can get through this as quickly as possible because, man, it's painful. A great take gives you 200 points. A good take gives you 100 points. An okay take gives you 50. And a bad take, you come home empty-handed with 0 points. To say the dynasty ended in brutal fashion is the understatement of the day. The Golden State Warriors fall to the Sacramento Kings 118-94. Steph Curry, an okay night. He was efficient from the field, 50%, but did have 6 turnovers. Klay Thompson scored as many points as I did, and I was not in the arena last night. And Draymond Green, kind of an uneven game for him as well. It would appear that the Golden State Warriors, as currently constructed, we will never see them suit up again as a trio, which, as a lifelong Warriors fan, is quite sad to see for me. But I'll ask you, Barry Grant Jr., obviously it appears the dynasty be over. I think we all generally agree on that. But Barry, will Steph Curry win another championship?
Not in Golden State. I think as loyal as Steph Curry is, he is Mr. Golden State, right? Like, there's been other guys in that history. You want to talk about Rick Barry, you want to talk about, Chris Mullin. There's a lot of guys that have been considered Golden State guys, but he is Mr. Golden State. But sometimes you have to leave if you want to achieve more, right? Kobe Bryant had a chance to leave towards the ending of his career with the Lakers. He decided to stay because he did not feel the need to have to leave. He was content with his career at that point, I believe. I don't think that Steph is content. I think that he's still very competitive. You saw the emotion out of him this year, that he took a lot out of him just to keep this team afloat. And towards the end of the season, you saw his body break down. His points are down, minutes were down, shooting percentage was down. He gave his all and realized that I can't keep playing like this and not having the help that I need to be able to still compete at the level that I want to compete at. So at that point, if there may be a chance, if there's a chance for him to go somewhere else to compete for a title for the remaining years that he has left, I think that's going to be an option that he does take. I think Golden State should give him the chance and respect him enough to be able to let him walk away if he wants to do so.
Yeah, and one thing that is, kind of, makes me feel a little uneasy is the upcoming Olympics. I feel like I've said for weeks now, I think that this upcoming Olympics could have a similar impact on Steph that it did for LeBron in 2008, where LeBron is, as you sort of mentioned, Steph's Mr. Golden State. LeBron was Mr. Cleveland and still is, obviously, because he came back. But, he's content playing with the guys he's playing with. Then he plays with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and Kobe and everybody. And he realizes, hey, there are greener pastures, outside of Cleveland, Ohio. And listen, if Steph recognized that, given how loaded Team USA is, that could be an issue. But listen, as much as I pray to God, I hope you're wrong, that if he does win a championship, that it does come with the Golden State Warriors. I thought that was a great take, Barry, if I could pull this up here. Great take, because, listen, at the end of the day, this is a franchise where, again, Chris Paul's contract is expiring, so is Clay's. They'll certainly move off Clay. They may bring Chris Paul back on a reduced deal. But the Wiggins contract isn't great. There's not a lot of assets as far as win now guys. Kuminga's the only one I think that would be truly, attractive for a potential buyer if the Warriors were to take another star player like a Paul George or somebody like that. So we'll see what happens. But that's I think you had a great take. To you, Keith, will Steph Curry win another championship?
I agree with Barry. I think the only way he wins is maybe if he goes somewhere else, because the Warriors and the state of their team, it's an older team. It doesn't look like the same. I mean, unfortunately, Klay Thompson sort of looks like a shell of himself at this point. Draymond's sort of the same, racking up more fouls and rebounds and more than rebounds and points. So they're definitely, if he leaves, you never know. But I don't think he would, and I wouldn't like. I know you're a Golden State Warrior fan. I wouldn't like it if he left. I mean, I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm tired of the whole, ring chasing thing. I kind of like the idea of guys that stick with one team, like Tim Duncan or Kobe Bryant. Like, I don't know, it would be nice to see Steph Curry finish it out that way. But if he wants to, go chase another championship, who am I to tell him no? Maybe in a few years, he could be sort of like that, that spot up shooter that a team would need if he could sort of change his game a little bit, become more of like a spot up catch release sort of 3-point shooter, maybe win a championship. But outside of that, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, again, as this roster is currently constructed in Golden State, you mentioned the age, obviously, Draymond and Clay in their mid-30s. Steph Curry just turned 36 and finished year 15. I think we forget that. It looks, I guess, I don't know if it's the baby face and all that, whatever the case may be, but it's time certainly flies, and it certainly appears that, again, as currently constructed, it's not looking good in Golden State. So, Keith, I'm going to give you a good take. I think, you mentioned, you said you don't want to leave Golden State. Believe me, it doesn't come close to the levels that I would just I'd be devastated. But listen, my thing is, man, I'm just going to say this up front. If Steph goes anywhere, I'm going to always be a Warriors fan for the rest of my life. I'm going to be a fan where Steph goes, and I just really hope I don't have to wear a purple and gold Steph Curry jersey. That would hurt. That really
It may happen.
I don't think it's going to happen, but it would hurt. To my man Erik Ruiz on the right there. You're a Knicks guy. That Steph Curry really had his breakout moment in Madison Square Garden to sort of, kick off his, here I am, I'm Steph Curry. I'm going to be, dominating the league for a decade. Do you think Steph Curry has won his last championship? Do you think he has any more left in him?
I don't think he's winning his last championship unless he goes to the East. It kind of picks apart like the easy pool there. He definitely could have had some more moments in the Garden had we had one more pick and not drafted Jordan Hill. But in the West, he's definitely not winning again. There's a new world order in the West. That's Shea, Jokic, and Anthony Edwards. And I don't think any other team in the West, whether it be the Kings or Pelicans, is gonna dethrone this hierarchy anytime soon. These are young guys like at the beginning of their career. Golden State does have a couple of good young guys with Kuminga and Davis, but like they're not enough. And Curry he's locked in till he's 38. So either they make some trades or get some free agents, but I see the Wolves, the Thunder, and the Nuggets really having a good grip on the Western Conference. The Wolves also have their core guys locked in with Naz Reid and Gobert and Cat on some good contracts. But I think Curry's gonna have to either come home to Cleveland or Charlotte, one of those familiar places, and build over there, because those dudes are gonna have a lot of cap space in the upcoming years.
Well, I'll tell you this right now. He is not going to Cleveland, Ohio. I can guarantee you that. That is, Magic Johnson's not signing with the Boston Celtics. Okay, LeBron's not signing with Boston or Indiana. That is not happening. Okay, he is not. Now wearing a Cavs jersey. Oh Lord, he's not going there.
Could you imagine? I would love for that to happen, just so you have the root for the Cavs. Yeah,
that would be torture for me. Oh my God, I hate all the Cleveland teams, every single one of them, even the rec league teams. I don't like any of them. But yeah, I mean, listen, you make a good case about him moving to the East. Like you said, there's a lot of teams with cap space, and I'm totally with you. I think Oklahoma City's going to be here for a decade. I mean, I think just the young talent they got over there, they're all locked in. Shea's going to be here for the foreseeable future. They got a good coach. So you threw in that little East, nugget there. So I'm going to give you a great take here. I think that's, again, if he goes to a Western Conference team, that's still a massive gauntlet. I mean, again, we talk about how rough the season was for the Warriors. They actually won more games this year than they did last year, but they ended up being the 10th seed because the West was so darn deep. I mean, again, the 6th seed won 49 games, being the Phoenix Suns, so it just goes to show you what the Western Conference was. But great stuff all the way around, gentlemen. We'll move on to our second round rules. Everything gets double for the first round. A great take gives you 400 points. A good take gives you 200 points. An okay take gives you 100. And a bad take, you come home empty-handed, again, with 0 points. Let's move on to the Los Angeles Lakers, who ensured that their season would not end against Sacramento on Friday, but rather that it would end in 2 weeks against the Denver Nuggets. At least that's the way I see it. We'll see what our panelists think. But they advanced to play the Denver Nuggets in the first round, knocking off the Pelicans last night, 110-106. LeBron James a near triple-double. Anthony Davis was really good defensively down the stretch. We got some key rebounds there at the end to seal the deal. Lakers are the 7 seed. They take on the 2 seed Nuggets, rematch last year's Western Conference Finals. I'll ask you, Keith, on a scale of 1 to 10, what are the chances that the Lakers dethrone the defending champs?
I don't know. On a scale of 1 to 10, I don't know what a puncher's chance is, but that's basically what I would give them, is a puncher's chance. So I'd say maybe a 4 or 5, I guess. You get LeBron James, Anthony Davis play out of their minds. You never know what can happen, but I still believe that Denver is a better team. But you never know, with LeBron and AD, they go crazy. You have a recipe for disaster, but I don't see it happening. Can we just say how silly this play-in thing is? Like, can we just get these playoffs started? Like, this regular season is already so watered down, and let's just get to it. But yeah, I give them a puncher's chance. That's about it.
Oh man, the play-in's been fun, man. You kidding me? We've got some great games out of this. Just Lakers games alone have been entertaining from 2021 last year. I'm just saying they've come out of the wire.
Half the league, you're not good enough. If you're not good enough, if 16 teams aren't good enough to make, you're not good enough to make the playoffs. You don't deserve. I don't want to watch you anymore.
You know what? It reduces tanking, so I'm in favor of, because teams like, hey, we get this, we got a shot. So yeah, I'll tell you what I get. But overall, good take by Keith. I think, again, 4 to 5. If you told the Lakers you got a 40-50% chance to beat Denver, I think they'd take that in heartbeat, obviously, given what happened last year. They came very close, and particularly games 1, 2, and 4 of winning those games. And listen, if LeBron and AD just have, again, the series of their lives, and LeBron's had plenty of those, AD's had a few of those in his career, but we'll see what happens. But a good take by Keith. To you, Eric, what chance do you give the Lakers? Scale 1 to 10. What chance do you give the Lakers to beat the Denver Nuggets in the first round?
2 out of 10. Unfortunately, because Denver has had their number in the 3 games that they've played against them. They've averaged at least 10 points by beating them more than by. This team has also had more turnovers in the 3 games that they've played against them. So they've even played like sloppy ball. But Mike Malone just has Darvin Ham's number, I feel, in this series, especially going back to the playoffs when more is on the line. Denver's 6-4 in their last 10. Lakers are 7-3, so they got a bit of momentum, but they're playing more games, and Denver's coming off some good rest. So I don't think the Lakers have much of a chance. Had it been any other team, the Lakers might have had a little more of a chance, but not against Denver. Denver got their number.
That's a really interesting point you make, that Denver sort of didn't play up to their standard of the regular season. And one thing people forget, like, the 3-0 in the regular season, I don't think is a moot point, for the simple fact that all three of those games were big games for both teams, but especially for the Lakers, because the first one was opening night, right? Denver's getting their rings. The Lakers get to see that, and Denver, still ends up winning, despite maybe some external motivation for LA. The Nuggets beat the Lakers on Kobe Bryant statue night. They beat the Lakers when LeBron hit the 40,000 point plateau. So, I think that there's, a lot of truth in what you're saying. And if I can get your point total up here real quick, I'm going to give, once again, back-to-back great takes by Erik, making his 8 o'clock spot debut and dominating fashion to get you to 600 points. Like, yeah, I think it's, if the Lakers play their A game, the Nuggets play their B plus game, and Denver still sweeps them. Like, that's a, that's a fair point. So definitely going to give you a great take, Erik. To the Lakers fan, I'm sure we're going to get nothing but objectivity here. Scale 1 to 10, Barry Grant Jr., chances that the Lakers beat the defending champion Denver Nuggets, who swept them a year ago.
10.
Oh boy.
No, listen, I am not going to be a homer, but I'm going to pull up some plausible statistics here.
Okay.
Would you say that, because I looked at the numbers in regards to that 4-game sweep of the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, that was the most competitive series that Denver had outside of the Suns. Suns was pretty good, but we already knew what was going to happen, right? And the Western Conference Finals was pretty much the NBA Finals. We got Jamal Murray's best series of his playoff career in that Lakers series. We got D'Angelo Russell's worst playoff series in his career. We also had Bruce Brown play out of his skis, right? As a 6-man. He's not a good player, but we're just talking about the series. We're not talking about the totality of his career. We're just talking about the series. Outside of Hachimura, we got nothing in regards to bench production. So if you fix those things and you fix the fourth quarter execution, that the games did come down to 2 possessions here, 3 possessions there, this is the difference. I'm not saying that the Denver Nuggets are not a better team. They are. But the one thing about sports is that matchups are everything. And guys can be able to get hot and score points. Some guys are not going to be able to play up to their statistics and averages. That's what makes games fun. And I'm just telling you right now, LeBron James is not injured like he was last season. He's healthy with rest. It's more of a chance for the Lakers to have a chance to beat the Denver Nuggets in the playoffs. And that's all I'm saying. Lakers in 6.
You know what? It's so funny that folks may not know, tuning into the 8 o'clock spot tonight, we had this like heated discussion about Julius Randle being hurt in the playoffs in 2023. I guess it was a year ago. And now Barry Grant Jr. is talking about LeBron James.
I didn't make an excuse for that's why the Lakers lost. I'm saying that LeBron healthy gives them a better chance to win. That's all I'm saying.
No, I got you. Listen,
there's no excuses. He wasn't healthy. They lost. They didn't execute in the fourth quarter, but he's healthy now, so it gives them a better shot. That's all I'm saying.
I'll give you a good take here, get you to 400 points. Can I ask you this? You trust Darvin Ham in a 7-game series?
I mean, I saw him against, like, he didn't coach terrible against the Nuggets, but obviously he's going to be. What I'm saying is that he's always going to be the worst coach in any series. So if LeBron is healthy, I trust Braun. That's what I'm gonna say.
I trust Braun. It's everybody else I'm worried about. That's the question. We'll see. Let's see what we got with our guy Tim from the Boston Sports Summit. The only way the Lakers beat the Nuggets is if the NBA. It's like what they did with the Lakers-Kings infamous game. Let's face it, it's LeBron. They're not going to rig the series, Tim. They're not going to rig the series and put the Lakers in the second round. Listen, it's great for ratings, obviously. And Lakers, LeBron, obviously.
Hold on. Is Tim saying that Lakers-Kings back in the day was rigged?
I don't know. That's the game 6. For some reason, I'm fuzzy. I know about game 7. Game 6 is interesting right now. I don't know.
It's so comical coming from a Celtics fan that most of their history you have to read about it in books.
That's true. That's very true. What was it? 1 title since the 80s. Anyways, we'll move on to our third round rules. I don't think any of us in here like the Celtics. Move on to our third round rules here. Put this up. Great take gives you 800 points. A good take gives you 400. An okay take gives you 200. And a bad take, you still come home empty-handed with 0 points. Let's go to Boston, but with the New England Patriots, who I guess they play in Foxborough. It's close enough to Boston, where a really interesting report came out on ESPN by 3 very good reporters close to the New England Patriots, talking about how Bill Belichick was potentially in line to get the Atlanta Falcons job, but Patriots owner Robert Kraft essentially told Arthur Blank, who owns the Atlanta Falcons, like, hey, I don't think I'd hire this guy. But the article did go on to talk about how there's 3 teams that Bill Belichick would be interested in coaching, and they're all NFC East teams. So, Belichick basically has to stay on that coast, except for one of them, which is in the middle of the country. But it would be the New York Giants, it'd be the Dallas Cowboys, and it'd be the Philadelphia Eagles. So I will start with you, Erik. Which of those 3 or anybody else should Belichick hope to coach next season?
I actually think he should go to New York Giants. He got lineage with them. He's actually been around that organization since 1979, before any of us have been conceived. I feel that also they have good pieces on defense, and he's the defensive coach with Burns, Dexter Lawrence, Thibodeau. All he's going to need is just a good OC to manage the O. But I think he'd be a great fit over there, and he drafts pretty well. So with the Giants, I feel like these upcoming years, they're probably going to be low in the draft and somehow kind of get Arch Manning in the fold. I think it would be a good send-off for Bill Belichick.
That would be interesting if Bill Belichick took a Manning and that was that just that'd be weird. That'd be fun how it sort of come full circle there. But yeah, I think Arch is gonna be really good. But yeah, I mean, obviously you mentioned the defensive piece the Giants have, Thibodeau and guys like that. They've always been, even in their down years, been serviceable on the defensive side of the ball. It's offensively, particularly at the quarterback position, that's really been their downfall. So let's see if I can put this up here. Keith, I will give you, or I'm sorry, Keith, Erik, I will give you a good take, get you 1,000 points here, and with a pretty sizable lead right now on the 8 o'clock spot. Yeah, I think, like you mentioned, Belichick has the history with the Giants. He kind of made the legend of Belichick, you could argue, kind of started with the Giants, where he was the defensive coordinator. He put together that great game plan, and was it 1991 that stopped the Buffalo Bills, offense with Jim Kelly and all those guys. So yeah, he's definitely got history there, and it's not too far from where he used to coach. So that would make sense. So a good take by Erik. To you, Barry Grant Jr., where should Belichick be at the 3 destinations, Eagles, Giants, Cowboys, or anywhere else? Where should Bill Belichick hope to coach in 2025?
Listen, I know I'm a Cowboys fan, but I'm going to say Dallas. But here's the reason why I say Dallas. Now, to Erik's point, he made some fine points. I will disagree with him in regards to saying that Belichick drafts well, because he doesn't. So you need to be able to go somewhere where that stuff is out of his purview. The Dallas Cowboys do just that. Jerry, to me, Robert Kraft was too hands-off on Bill Belichick. I think he should have been a little bit more assertive in regards to what he wanted. You're not going to get that in Dallas. You're going to get Jerry Jones being the final say. So I think that if Bill Belichick wants to coach, you can coach, but that's all you're going to do is coach. You're not going to pick any groceries. You're not going to be able to do any of those things. So I think in the later part of his career, his coaching career, I think that's the best thing for him, to just be able to just coach and not worry about anything else. The Dallas Cowboys have a very good defense in place. Bill Belichick is a great defensive mind that can be able to get the most out of all of those defensive players in regards to Trayvon Diggs. And maybe he gets the most out of Micah Parsons, and we see the Micah Parsons that we really are expecting in regards to turning the corner with maturity and stuff like that. With quarterback, he's very quick to pull the trigger on guys if they're not playing well. So that may bode well if a Dak Prescott is no longer there in Dallas. So we'll see exactly what happens. I think it's actually a very, very good fit for what's going on in regards to the transition for Dallas Cowboys.
Well, I mean, he's, by all accounts, him and Jerry seem to be friends, and that's a great point you make about Robert Kraft. Like you said, a little too hands off. The only time he really ever interfered was the Jimmy G trade,
right?
And Belichick traded him to the 49ers just basically out of spite. But yeah, I mean, it's for as much as we criticize Jerry, and I'm at the front of that line, I would rather him run a draft than Belichick. If you look at the last 10 years, he's you compare the two, it's not particularly close. And that could potentially work. And we know the Cowboys, listen, we can criticize Dak and the offense all we want. The defense did give up 48 points to the 7th seed. That does not happen at Bill Belichick.
Not with a Belichick team.
No, not with the Belichick team. Unless Mac Jones is throwing the ball to the other team, but nonetheless, that's the problem. But I'm going to give Barry Grant Jr. a great take. I think, listen, I'm skeptical about a Dallas Belichick fit, but I'm not going to lie, you sold me a little bit on it.
It makes sense.
It could work, especially like you said, more of a fresh start. We'll see what they do at quarterback in 2 years if Dak's gone. But great take by Barry. Finally, with you, Keith, where should Belichick coach in 2025? Should it be any of those 3, Giants, Eagles, Cowboys, or anybody else?
Well, I mean, if it's between those 3 teams, I mean, to me, that's a layup. It's got to be the Cowboys, even though I have no idea how that works with Bill Belichick and Jerry Jones, because, I mean, they're both going to want total total control. So I don't really know how that. I don't know how that works, but I think the Giants and the Eagles already, I think, have good coaches that are in the midst of building their own thing. You can't just shut that off right now while they're building their own cultures over there. So for me, that's easy. That's a layup. That's got to be the Cowboys, because I mean, it seems like you guys always want to get rid of your coach, but if you were looking at the other teams, I mean, I would love him in Buffalo, even though I like Sean McDermott. I think a Josh Allen, Bill Belichick pairing would be a really scary duo. But I do like Sean McDermott. But I think if you're going with those three teams, definitely the Cowboys. Otherwise, I think it would be great to have him on the Bills with Josh Allen.
I agree with him. That was my pick outside of what you were saying. So spot on.
The only way to me is if it works in Buffalo, and frankly in Dallas or any of these places, is he's got to get a good offensive coordinator. Like, I've heard many times, folks say, like, you have to have an offensive coach to win a Super Bowl. Well, you can have a defensive guy just as long as you have a good offensive guy. Like, having a good offensive guy, whether it's your head coach, OC, that's massive. It doesn't necessarily have to be the head coach, but yeah, I think he made some good points. I'm a fan of Dable with the Giants. Like, my thing is, what's the guy really had to work with? Like, he had us fooled thinking Daniel Jones was something. Man got $160 million contract because of Dable. But I don't know about Sirianni. If the job opened up in Philly, I think that'd be a good fit for him as well. But if I can go ahead and put this up here right now, good take by Keith. Give him to 700 points. I think that's the fit with Dallas again is. There's aspects where it makes sense. There's aspects where it doesn't. But this Buffalo, if get the offensive coordinator right, yeah, you could have something there. You could have a team that, maybe that's the Bills' best, puncher's chance to knock off the Kansas City Chiefs, who they struggled against the playoffs. Got a couple of comments here. Richie Gunter says Jerry won't give up being the face of the Cowboys. Yeah, I think so. Cause listen, we know Jerry likes to have guys that he can control. I don't think Mike McCarthy is still there for any other reason than that. And that's been, again, Wade Phillips, Garrett, Chan Gailey. Like, we kind of have a string of coaches where Jerry likes to sort of micromanage, and that's sort of been an issue in Dallas, but we'll see what happens. So our fourth round rules, final round where all three guys are involved. Let's go and put this up here. A great take gives you 1,600 points. A good take gives you 800. An okay take gives you 400. And a bad take, still come home empty-handed with 0 points. Staying in Boston, talking about the Celtics, who are going to know their playoff opponent by Friday. So there's a game going on right now between the Heat and the Sixers. I haven't kept too much of tabs on it as of late, but listen, both of those teams have faced Boston in the playoffs. Boston has fared very well against Philly, not so much against the Miami Heat, kind of a go either way, back and forth. But listen, they won 64 games. They are the number one seed, and right now in Vegas, they're either the favorites or the co-favorites to win the championship along with Denver. So I'll ask you right now, Barry Grant Jr., who should the Boston Celtics want in the first round, Philly or Miami?
They should be praying to get the Philadelphia 76ers. They should be praying to get the Philadelphia 76ers. No one, I don't care who's on the Miami Heat, who's hurt, who's healthy. If Jimmy Butler's there, if Eric Spoelstra is there, they have a shot, because that guy runs circles around most coaches in the NBA. He's going to run circles around Missoula. We know this. So it's about making plays, and we've seen at times that Tatum and Brown tend to force the issue a bit. You are not going to be able to do that with a Miami Heat team. Eric Spoelstra is going to be able to have a game plan, game to game, possibly quarter to quarter, to be able to isolate them or keep them under wraps. And it's going to be up to the other guys to be able to carry the load. Now, they have depth. They're very good. But I think if you're talking about who they want to play, obviously you're going to want to play a Philadelphia team that doesn't have that many weapons as Miami does, or has the coach. Nick Nurse is good, but he's no Eric Spoelstra. So if I'm going to answer the question, it's Philadelphia. They want to play Philadelphia. They don't want no parts of the Miami Heat at all.
Yeah, I mean, we know a year ago, obviously, Miami went up 3-0, almost blew the series. But in Game 7, when it felt like everybody's like, oh, Boston's going to make the comeback like the Red Sox did in 04, go Sox, they fell apart in Game 7. And by the way, my underrated story, and I don't know why people don't seem to talk about this, last two playoffs, Boston is not a good home team. Like, they win most of their playoff games, away from the TD Garden.
It's
so that's
pressure.
something to keep.
It's the pressure.
Yeah, the pressure, and so the home court advantage doesn't seem to factor that much into them as much as it does other teams. So yeah, I think you make some great points. I'm going to give Barry a good take, give him to 2,000 points here. I just, like you said, Philly is a more talented roster. They just are. But Miami, like you said, playoff Jimmy, Erik Spoelstra is easily the best coach in basketball. I totally agree with you. Bam Adebayo had success against the Celtics, especially consider Boston's bigs aren't necessarily, physically capable of limiting Bam on the boards, and obviously, the screen and roll, so that could be something that becomes a problem as well. So a good take for Barry. For Keith now, should the Boston Celtics hope to face the Sixers or the Heat in round one?
This is kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. If I was Boston, I would probably rather, unfortunately, I hate saying it, but probably the Heat. I just think the Sixers are a better team, top to bottom. But it just seems every year, like Barry said, for whatever reason, once they get in, they find lightning in a bottle. I watch the Heat. You watch them all year. They're like, they're okay. They're all right. They're all right. And then they get in the playoffs, and next thing you know, it's May, and they're still playing every year. So I think the Sixers are better. I think Maxey, is a dynamic scorer. He gets going. I think Philly is tough to beat. But yeah, that gun to my head, I'd rather play Miami.
Listen, you are right that we have no reason to believe in the Heat other than the past. Because I've watched a lot of Heat games, like you said this year, they're fine. They don't blow.
Okay.
You watch Boston, heck, you watch the Knicks, you watch the Nuggets or the Thunder. You're like, whoa, that team really jumps off the TV at you. Miami really doesn't. They kind of win games, very kind of a slow tempo type of basketball team. You turn the Heat on. You turn the Heat on. You're like, wait, who is this guy? You look up, he's got 20 points. Like, who is this guy? We're like, where do they find these guys? I don't know where they find these guys, but they find them. So it's crazy. That's called Pat Riley. He's the evil genius. Yep. He somehow, and he brings in the whatever, a band of misfit toys, and Erik Spoelstra makes it happen. So good take. I'll give you here right now, Keith, get you to 1,500 points. Yeah, there's a lot of, again, history is the only thing we can rely on with Miami. They're average defensively, below average offensively. But listen, Jimmy, and people forget, if we're going, we talked about guys not being healthy. Jimmy Butler was on a tear to start the playoffs last year and was fine the rest of the playoffs. But people forget he twisted his ankle against the Knicks in that game one. It wasn't quite the same after that. So if he stays healthy, they could be a serious threat. Finally, to you, Erik, who should the Boston Celtics favor? Who should they rather face? The Philadelphia 76ers or the Miami Heat?
I actually think that they'd fare better against the Sixers because they did 3-0 the Heat this year, but Jimmy Butler only played in one game. And there's been a couple of roster moves on the Heat, but I feel like they plugged in guys like Jaime Jaquez well to fill in for everyone they lost last year, like Gabe Vincent and everything like that. But the Sixers are limping into this playoffs. Embiid, he's off injury, but I don't think he's going to be the same for the rest of his playoffs. Like how long can he hold up? And Maxey's good and everything, but I don't think he's really entered his prime yet. So as far as the Heat goes, I feel like the Heat has their number. They've only got blown out once in this 3-0 series, and the other games have been relatively close. So if I'm the Celtics, I don't want to face that same dog that got me out last year too. So I take the Sixers.
One thing, too, you mentioned Jaime Jaquez. I was a huge fan of his when he was at UCLA. He's been a really good rookie this year. Tyler Hero's back. Tyler Hero didn't play against the Boston Celtics last year. That's another 15 to 20-point guy that can really make an impact for you. And like you said, as far as Philly, listen, I know we're going back 6 years, but they gentlemen swept Philly in 2018. They did sweep Philly in the bubble in 2020. And last year, listen, you could say what you want about the Game 6 and all that. We know what Harden's playoff history is, but we know what Embiid's playoff history is as well. And like you said, his numbers have been really, really solid since coming back from injury, and the Sixers haven't lost in that stretch. But if you actually watch the games, the guy does not look totally 100%, so that could come back and bite them. So I will give Erik a good take to get him. I'm sorry, great take, good take to get him to 1,800 points, which means both Barry Grant Jr. and Erik Ruiz in his 8 o'clock spot debut, by the way, will advance to the finals. Keith, I apologize, man. You're not able to make it this go round.
So long, you guys. I'm gonna turn my creepy serial killer light off now.
all the audience and all of us. We appreciate that. But shout out Keith, man. Good 8 o'clock spot.
Later.
From him for sure. Let's see. It looks like we got a comment from Tim, who's again a Celtics fan. I think this will be the toughest round for the Celtics until and when, or if and when they make the finals. Listen, the East is not that good. It's at least relative to the West. It's not. The West has. I mean, Phoenix, half America, including myself, don't believe in them. But listen, they got a good matchup against Minnesota in round one.
They better hope that those Knicks are not waiting for them in the Eastern Conference Finals, because they won't pass the Knicks. I'm telling you right now.
That'll be it'll be a physical series. The Knicks play a lot like Miami in certain respects. And again, like we talked about, we know how Boston fares against Miami, but
I would love to see a Heat Knicks Eastern Conference Finals. Oh, man.
I would too. No, that'd be fantastic.
That'd be great.
Fantastic television. Let's move on to our final round rules. Erik, you're advanced for the first time. Congratulations. Barry has done this a time or two, to say the very least, but it just goes like this. You win, you get 10,000 points. You lose, you get nothing. Okay. It's a great equalizer in this 8 o'clock spot tournament. Our final round, let's talk about the Los Angeles Clippers, a team that supposedly, at least from their own mouths, from their own lips, said that they were going to run the city of Los Angeles, despite at that point not having a single conference finals appearance. The Lakers obviously having 17 titles. But Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, that experiment, which initially I thought was going to be great, thus far it has gotten them one conference finals appearance. They missed the playoffs one year. They were able, I see Barry there in the bottom. They were able to get to the playoffs last year before Kawhi and Paul George went down. Kawhi's already hurt to start the playoffs. Paul George has been playing well. Westbrook, we'll see what that fit works out. James Harden's hurt. It's not looking promising against the Dallas Mavericks, who are red hot right now. I will ask Barry Grant Jr., should the Clippers break this team up, break this whole Paul George Kawhi experiment up if they lose in the first round to Dallas?
Welcome to the latest edition of Dehumidifiers and Space Heaters. This is what I'm going to tell you about those clappers, right? They put in all of this. It's pretty much win or go home for them. All or nothing season, right? James Harden is a Clipper. I want to be a Clipper now. I was mad that Philadelphia didn't want to pay me, and I'm here. Now he's here, right? So we're going to see what the excuses are. Paul George hasn't signed an extension yet. James Harden hasn't signed an extension. The only one that wants to be around, it looks like, is Kawhi Leonard for whatever reason, right? They have the big arena that they're opening. But if you look at their roster, all of these guys are on one-year deals. So if they lose, I'm telling you right now, which they will, because guess what? Out of Luka's X amount of time he's been in the playoffs, how many times has he played the Clippers? Well, this is going to be number 3, I believe.
3 times, yeah.
He's owned them in every single series. They cannot guard him. Now you have Kyrie Irving there that's going to help them. They've been playing great basketball, probably the best in the league so far in the stretch, right? If they lose, when they lose, they have no choice but to blow this up, because Paul George is going to run. James Harden is going to run. These guys are the biggest excuse makers of all time in regards to when things go bad, they tend to say, oh, it wasn't me, it was bad. And then they'll go ahead and go somewhere else. So yeah, it's gonna happen, but it's not because Mr. Clipper, Mr. CEO, Mr. Owner wants it to happen. He's gonna be forced to blow it up because they're not gonna be there.
Yeah, Steve Ballmer, I remember that opening press conference 5 years ago. If you'd have told him 5 years later this would have been the result, I don't think he'd have been thrilled. Yeah, listen, I said this the day they made the Harden trade on carving it up, and I definitely maintain it right now. That was one of the single dumbest trades I've ever seen in my life, where they have all these assets. They give them all to Philly for a disgruntled player who's aging, declining physically. We know what he is in the playoffs. We're about to see it again. Westbrook's been a solid fit over there, but it still doesn't seem like it's going to, work long-term in terms of winning in the playoffs. Kawhi, again, injured again. And the main thing is almost all these guys, 1-year deals. Or they're on last year their contract. They're all going to be free agents. So they'll give up all those assets for a first-round exit. Like, man,
I would love to see who's going to open their 10,000 bathroom arena. The comedy writes itself, Bryson. It truly does. I can't wait. I can't wait for Luka to average 45, 15, and 12 for the series. Send these guys home in 5. And then everybody's going to be talking about, hey, well, we didn't expect this. Yeah, you did. Death, taxes, Clippers are always going to suck.
Two things, and I'll move to you. Facts. Two things, and I'll move to Eric. First of all, Paul George, we would love to have you in Golden State. We could sure use you. As for Kyrie Irving, he gonna do. You wait till what he does. See what he does to James Harden.
Oh, he's gonna punish him. Yeah, I know.
Put him in the blender.
Yeah.
All right, to you, Eric. Now, should the Clippers blow this entire experiment up that they've been trying for the last half decade if they lose to the Dallas Mavericks in the first round?
Man, if they better not lose to the Dallas Mavericks with 4 Hall of Famers on their roster. They got a whole brand new arena they're opening next year, like Barry said. But unfortunately, if they lose to Dallas, yeah, they're gonna have to blow this thing up and probably just focus on the draft because as I mentioned earlier, there's a new world order in the West and they're not a part of it. But if they do somehow get past the Mavericks and get far, then they're gonna have to keep these guys. They got jerseys to sell, they got merch to sell with this new arena being in Inglewood and everything. But if they can't get past the Mavericks, yeah, this thing is over. Consider them the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, the Brooklyn Nets with a Western Conference Finals appearance.
They're worse. There's no team that's ever been as historically worse than the Clippers. Not even the Nets.
Brooklyn, I think, was Brooklyn was worse because
the Nets got the back-to-back championships in their history. All right, just remember this.
Oh, you're talking about historically. Okay.
Yeah,
historically. Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, this experiment, again, outside of a conference finals appearance has been has gone just as poorly as it did for Brooklyn. And yeah, the new arena, and Ballmer's obviously he's going to hope Kawhi Leonard stays. They'll see if they can add somebody. I don't know how attractive the Clippers is as a market. I get it's LA, but you know, it's not the, I hate the Lakers, but it's not the same as the purple and gold. It's just not. So that's going to factor as well. Gentlemen, great takes across the board. If this were a first round, second round, third round, fourth round, all of you guys would get great takes, but there could be only one champion as we dial up the victory music on the 8 o'clock spot. And the winner, the 8 o'clock spot, episode 33 is Barry Grant Jr. Once again, the 8 o'clock spot points leader is the champion this week. In dark attire and all. Have the floor, my man.
I'd like to say welcome to the team, my man Eric. You're going to be a great contributor to the 8 o'clock spot. You brought the smoke today. I don't think a lot of guys are going to want to deal with you on a week-to-week basis because you bring the facts. You bring stats, and you know you're going to be a great addition to the 8 o'clock spot. However, when it comes to the creator, the Thanos of this thing, I just had it was a nice round. I think the Coke kind of sold Bryson when I brought out the dehumidifiers and space heater segment. I haven't done that in a while on my show, but it's true. The fact that the Clippers that people still talk about them like they're this relevant team, it makes me nauseous. Like people don't watch basketball. I don't understand. Well, what do you see? I see 2 choke artists in Paul George and James Harden.
Be nice to future Warrior Paul George.
Yeah, I mean, he'll probably do better there, right? Because he got help. You got Kawhi Leonard, who's never there. You got Steve Ballmer, who's been a squatter for the time that he's been an owner here. I can't wait for them to get out of our building. It's great. It's great. And for the 5 Clipper fans that are going to fill that place and they're going to have to pay everybody else to put Clippers uniforms on and shirts on just to fill the building out, I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. So, yeah.
Yeah, remember when the Chargers put those AI fans in the SoFi? That's what the Clippers are going to do.
That's what they're going to have to do. Yeah. I ask people all the time. I'm going to ask Eric the same question. Eric, in the X amount of years, we're old people. We don't want to date our age, right? But in the X amount of years you've been on this planet, how many times have you seen anybody with a Clippers hat on?
Oh, not over here.
Never.
I don't even think in LA.
I've never seen it.
I've never seen it. I'm not gonna. Let's see. I actually literally have a picture of a guy with a Clippers hat on.
But it was white.
Yeah, this right here.
Yeah. Look at that. It's ridiculous. So it was a great 8 o'clock spot, man. I had a lot of fun. Keith is always a good time. I like to troll him a lot because he gets very emotional about his teams. Don't we all? Yeah, exactly. But it's just I got nothing. No, I do have something. PSA. No matter how much you raise your kids right and you teach them good things, you make sure that you're responsible. They see a loving household between father and mother. There's good values. There's chores in place. There's things that make a family unit great, right? You're going to have screw ups like Jonte Porter that thinks that the money that he's making in the NBA is not enough, and $20,000 with a burner account on one of the biggest organizations in the world in regards to investigation, did you not think that they were going to find it? This is my thing. Like, did you not think the NBA was going to find this? They have the best investigators on planet Earth, other than the FBI. Come on now.
What do you make? $21,000?
$21,000.
Yeah, that's
Burger King is
bad.
hiring. I'm telling you, he better be happy that somebody invites him to some weekend warrior tournament, because he's going to be the laughing stock of his family. I'm sure. And you know what? That gives the Lakers another shot as well, because Michael Porter Jr. is not going to be focused.
Oh, stop.
He's going to be focused on his idiot brother.
Get out of here.
And not going to be able to make no shots. Lakers in 6.
Eric, your team's going further in the playoffs than either of ours. Okay, we all agree. I'm telling you right now. Okay, the Knicks going to make a deep playoff run. But Eric, fantastic first 8 o'clock spot performance. One of the best, honest to God, one of the best first 8 o'clock spot debuts that we've seen. So shout out to Eric. Like, echo everything Barry said. Cannot wait to see you many shows in the future. For sure. Congratulations to the villain, the troll, and the man who's a fan of a team is about to get gentleman swept. Barry Grant Jr., the host of the All Even podcast, and yeah, the Clippers thing, you are definitely right across the board. 8 o'clock spot next week, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, either Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll see what happens. We'll give you the latest notifications and news on that. We will see you then. Stay safe out there, y'all. God bless y'all. Peace out.